A book can hide murder. Lady Bantry held the scissors. The ribbon stretched. She cut it clean. The bookshop opened. Colonel Bantry clapped once, his face calm. He said nothing more. Volunteers stood ready. 4 of them, each with a role, each with a purpose. Hugo Drake first, dealer from London, well-dressed, silver at the temples, sharp eyes. He valued the stock. He smiled often. The smile felt rehearsed. His hands moved fast. He touched too many books. Clarissa Oswald next, village librarian, thin, nervous, spectacles tight, ink stains on her fingers. She catalogued everything, her voice low. She spoke little, but she watched. She wrote notes constantly. Basil Trent followed. Historian, white hair early, scholar's stare, wore old clothes, not fashionable. He wanted pamphlets. He wanted history, local uprisings, old records. He searched shelves with hunger. Ada Pettigrew last. Spinster. Collector. First edition's her passion. Small frame, sharp face. Her eyes quick, her hands reverent. Every book she touched, she weighed. She whispered titles like prayers. Lady Bantry introduced them all. She said each had helped. She said each mattered. She beamed with pride. The shop was her project. The church roof was her cause. Miss Marple stood near. She said little. She nodded once. She observed much. Her eyes scanned the group. Her ears caught tones. Her mind noted differences. She saw Drake move closer to shelves. She saw Oswald glance away. She saw Trent ignore greetings. She saw Pettigrew press a cover too long. Each detail filed, each gesture marked. Customers entered. They walked between rows. Books lifted. Books replaced. Questions asked. Sales made. Money collected. Lady Bantry kept smiling. Colonel Bantry stayed silent. Marple stood steady. She knitted with her mind. Threads forming. Patterns starting. Drake guided buyers. He whispered values. He pointed to bindings. He praised certain editions. His tone rich, his words sharp, yet his eyes restless. Oswald kept notes. Her hands shook. Her spectacles fogged. She checked ledgers. Her ink smudged. She corrected twice. Her head lowered, her breath quick. Trent avoided talk. He read. He muttered dates. He compared margins. He turned pages with care. But his face flushed. He looked impatient. He looked hungry. Pettigrew lingered near glass cases. Her fingers hovered. She whispered. She frowned. She tapped a single corner. She smiled to herself. Marple caught it all. Her gaze still, her thoughts moving. She saw small cracks. She felt small tensions. A false note inside harmony. Lady Bantry raised her hands. She called the morning a success. She promised the roof fund secure. She thanked the team. Applause followed. Then Marple noticed. Drake in poetry corner. He pulled one volume. He flipped pages quick. His eyes froze. His hand trembled. His face paled. He checked again. He breathed short. He glanced around. No one watching. He slipped the book into his coat. Miss Marple saw everything. Forgery whispers. The shop was busy. Customers drifted out. Volunteers gathered closer. Drake cleared his throat. "I must speak," he said, his tone sharp, his eyes fixed. He held the Tennyson. Lady Bantry turned. "Yes, Mr. Drake." Her smile faint. Her chin lifted. "This book is wrong," Drake said. "It looks first edition, but details betray it. I fear it is false." Silence spread. Oswald froze. Her pen slipped. Ink smudged on the ledger. Trent looked up. His pale eyes narrowed. He asked no question. He listened hard. Pettigrew gasped once. Her hand twitched. She clutched her handbag. Her lips pressed tight. Lady Bantry spoke firm. "That book came from Mrs. Weatherby. Her husband collected for years. It is genuine." Drake shook his head. "The binding is fresh. The leather too smooth. The gilt too bright." Marple's eyes lowered. She studied his hands. White dust clung there. not dust of shelves. It looked like binding paste. Drake kept speaking. The paper lacks age. The letters lack weight. It is not right. Lady Bantry's voice hardened. This volume is for auction. It will remain here. We trust its history. Drake pressed further. If it sells, false scandal follows. The charity risks ruin. The reputation falls. Colonel Bantry stirred. He frowned deep. But he stayed silent. Trent coughed once. He said nothing else. His eyes slid away. Pettigrew whispered low, "Forgery ruins value." Her voice trembled. She stared at Drake. Oswald bent low. She wiped the ink. Her hand shook harder. Her face red. Marple stayed still, her mind sharper. Binding paste confirmed suspicion. Why on his fingers? Lady Bantry cut him off. The book stays. The catalogue is printed. The auction is set. Drake's jaw tightened. His face flushed. He replaced the book. His fingers lingered too long. He leaned close. His voice almost lost, but Marple heard it. £300, he muttered. Someone lied. His words hung cold in the air. A scream inside. Lady Bantry locked the door. The shop was closed. The day had ended. She walked away. Her steps slowed. A sound stopped her. A loud crash. Then a muffled cry. She froze. Her heart raced. Her hand clutched her bag. The noise came from the shop. She had the key. She turned back. She reached the door. She fumbled at the lock. Inside was dim. Shelves still. Silence heavy. Then movement again. "Hello? Hello," she called. Her voice shook. "Is someone here?" From the poetry section, a figure. Clarissa Oswald stepped out, her hair loose, her skirt dusty. "Thank goodness." Oswald gasped, her voice trembling. "I found you." Lady Bantry stared. "Why are you here?" The shop was closed. Oswald stammered. "I forgot my glasses. I climbed inside. I needed them tonight." Bantry frowned hard. "You should have asked. This is no excuse." Then she saw more. A toppled bookcase, heavy oak, collapsed across the floor. Books scattered. Leather spines broken. Dust rising. A man trapped beneath. "Hugo Drake," Lady Bantry whispered. She hurried forward. She knelt fast. She touched his face. He was pale. He was still, his coat torn, his eyes closed. "Help me lift," she ordered. Her hands pressed the wood. Oswald shook her head. "It's too heavy." Bantry shouted. "Fetch Colonel. Fetch men." Oswald ran off, her steps frantic. Bantry stayed kneeling, her ears sharp. She listened for breath. She found none. Dr. Haydock arrived. He pushed forward. He checked Drake's pulse. His face turned grave. "We need help," he said. Bantry shouted again. Men came running, Colonel Bantry among them. They pushed together. They lifted the shelf. They pulled Drake free. He lay motionless. Haydock checked again, his hands steady, his voice heavy. "There's nothing to be done." Bantry gasped. Oswald cried out. Colonel stared hard. The room fell silent. Haydock leaned closer. He examined the head. He touched the temple. He spoke low. "This wound came earlier, before the shelf fell. A blow struck first. The fall came after." Bantry shuddered. She looked at Oswald. Oswald shook still, her face drained. Colonel stepped forward. "What are you saying?" His voice sharp, his tone firm. Haydock answered. "This is no accident. This is deliberate. This is attack," Bantry whispered. "Murder?" No one replied. Then footsteps sounded. Inspector Slack arrived. He scanned the room, his jaw tight, his eyes cold. He spoke clear. "No one else enters. This place is sealed. This is a crime scene." Slack declared it murder. Dust never lies. Morning came. Miss Marple walked slow. Her stick tapped ground. She reached the shop. Police tape blocked entry. A constable stood guard. He held a newspaper. He looked distracted. "Terrible business," she said. He nodded once. Inspector said no entry. But a look is fine. She stepped closer. She peered inside. The poetry section visible. Shelves lined the wall. One shelf toppled. Others remained steady. Books scattered below. Floor marked with weight. Marple's eyes narrowed. She studied patterns. Dust spoke clear. Only one shelf disturbed. Others clean. Too clean. Surfaces polished smooth. No scatter elsewhere. She thought fast. If one fell, others trembled. Dust should shift. But no shift here. She leaned closer. Light caught the floor. She saw specks. Small gold flecks shining. She whispered low. Fresh gilt. Not aged. Her mind ticked. Old books shed dull flakes. These gleamed bright. Her eyes tracked. She saw more flecks. Near the place Drake lay. On wood near his sleeve. She turned her head. Lady Bantry approached. Her face pale. Her step heavy. "Jane, you came." Her voice weak. "This night broke me. The shop feels cursed." Marple nodded, calm. "Dolly, we must think. Dust shows truth. Books tell secrets." Bantry frowned. Inspector asked questions. He wants motives. He suspects too much. Marple asked direct. "Were any books missing? Anything moved wrong?" Bantry paused. She shook her head. "I never checked." The inspector sealed fast. "I assumed nothing lost." Marple pressed further. "Last night," Doctor spoke. "He said a blow struck. Not just a fall." Bantry whispered back. "Yes, but I hoped mistake. Now I fear worse. Someone staged this fall." Marple's eyes shifted again. Something else glinted. A scrap of paper, half hidden under books. "Constable," Bantry called, "please look there. Near the scattered pile. A paper lies." The young man bent. He leaned near window. He squinted inside. A catalogue card. Torn. He lifted it slow. The writing faint. Ink in violet. Words partly clear. Marple read enough. Lot 27. Tennyson first. Reserve 300. Her eyes sharpened. Bantry whispered quick. £300? That cannot be. Clarissa set 30. I heard it myself. Marple breathed short. A false entry. A reserve inflated. A hand deceived. Her voice low. 30 became 300. Someone altered the record. Someone raised the stakes. She turned once more. Her gaze fixed. Gold flecks still bright. Dust still undisturbed. She spoke soft. "Forgery leaves marks, and greed leaves trails." The torn card proved it. £30 had been changed to £300. One book. Two twins. Miss Oswald knocked softly. Marple opened the door. The librarian stood pale. Her hands twisted her bag. "May I come in?" she asked. Her voice shook. Marple nodded once. She led her inside. They, Saturday silence, held a moment. Then Oswald spoke. "There is something I must tell." Marple waited calm. Her knitting lay idle, her eyes steady, her tone mild. "2 books," Oswald whispered. Marple leaned closer. "2 copies?" she asked. "Yes," Oswald replied fast. "The Tennyson," she added. 2 volumes before opening. Both looked identical, both leather-bound, both gilt lettering, both claimed first edition. Marple asked slow. "How did you find them?" "I was cataloguing," Oswald said. "I saw duplicate notes. I checked shelves again. 2 copies existed," Marple pressed. "Were they the same?" "One felt right," Oswald answered. "Paper rough, ink faded, binding worn." "And the other?" Marple asked. "Too clean," Oswald whispered. "Binding tight, glue fresh, lettering bright, paper perfect, too perfect." Marple's eyes narrowed. "You judged one forged?" "Yes," Oswald admitted. "Modern work, but made with skill." Marple tapped the table. "Where are they now?" Oswald looked down. Her lips trembled. "The night of the tragedy," she said. "I returned. I planned to compare again. But only one remained. The forgery was gone. Only the genuine left. Marple asked, quick. You are certain? Yes, Oswald said, firm. The real one remained. The false vanished. Marple asked again. Did you tell Lady Bantry? No, Oswald admitted. I feared suspicion. I feared blame. So I stayed silent. Marple leaned back, her fingers folded, her voice quiet. Then the forgery was moved. But by whom? Oswald shook her head. I do not know. But I heard something. That night. Voices inside. Marple tilted forward. Whose voices? Drake's, Oswald said fast. He sounded angry. He spoke of the original. He spoke of 300. Marple asked sharp. 300? Yes, Oswald confirmed. He said the words. The original and 300. I heard it clear. Marple's mind turned. Reserve card altered. Forged book missing. Drake's anger loud. Pieces started to link. Oswald wiped her hands. Her eyes glistened. I swear truth. I hid nothing else. I only feared blame. Marple gave a nod. Fear clouds judgment, but truth clears paths. Drake's own words echoed, the original and 300 pounds. Hands stained with glue. Miss Marple walked steady. Her path led to Much Benham. She entered the binder's shop. A man looked up. Good morning, he said. He wiped his hands, glue still on his fingers. He smiled, polite. Edward Rudge, he introduced. His tone plain, his bench cluttered. Books lay open. Marple spoke calm. You do fine work. She glanced at tools. She eyed paper stacks. Rudge nodded. I try my best. Old standards matter. Details matter more. Marple asked direct. Have you restored poetry volumes? Rare bindings, perhaps? Rudge brightened fast. Yes, just last week. A Tennyson, first edition. Needed urgent work. Marple leaned closer. Urgent? She asked. Yes, he replied. The man insisted. Paid extra. Told me to rush. Marple pressed. Describe him. Well-dressed, Rudge said. London accent. Dealer in rare books. His name, Drake. Marple's eyes sharpened. Work complete? She asked. Yes. Rudge nodded. I fixed hinges. Matched gilt lettering. Binding fresh as new. He reached a bin. He lifted scraps. Marbled paper offcuts. Blue and gold swirls. These were leftovers, he said. Used for the Tennyson. He demanded quality. I wasted none. Marple touched them. Paper smooth. Color too bright. Edges too sharp. She murmured. Not aged at all. Fresh marbling. Artificial wear applied. Rudge smiled proud. My own technique. Tea stain and heat. Looks authentic always. Marple nodded slow. Glue also fresh. Yes, he admitted. I used plenty. No time to dry. But he approved. Her thoughts raced. Paste on Drake's fingers. Gold flecks on his cuff. Forgery confirmed. She asked one more. Did he leave name card? Yes, Rudge said. He showed a slip. Hugo Drake, London. Marple thanked him. Her voice mild. Her mind set. She saw the trail. Drake had used modern adhesive for a perfect fake. Footprints don't lie. Rain had fallen. The courtyard wet. The steps darker. Marks stood clear. Inspector Slack bent low. He pointed sharp. Size 5, he said. Small feet. A woman. Miss Marple watched close. She counted prints. They went upward. None showed downward. Slack wrote notes. His pen scratched. These steps matter. They place someone here. Lady Bantry whispered. Whose shoes match? Slack turned slow. Miss Oswald, he said. Oswald stood nearby. Her hands shook. Her face pale. Her lips tight. They are mine, she said, her voice weak. She looked down. She twisted fingers. Explain, Slack ordered. Oswald swallowed. I climbed those stairs. That night. I wanted my glasses. I meant no harm. Slack pressed harder. You lied before. You said the window, not the stairs. Oswald nodded fast. I was scared. I hid the truth. But I heard voices. Marple leaned closer. What voices? She asked. Drake's. Oswald said. He was angry. He shouted about the original. He shouted about money. Slack's pen stopped. How much money? He asked. 300, Oswald answered. Those were his words. Marple asked, calm. Was he alone? Oswald shook her head. Number. Another man. Her eyes shifted. Her voice hushed. I think it was Trent. The cadence fit, the tone precise, the words clipped, like his lectures. Slack straightened tall. So, Trent inside, arguing with Drake. You outside, listening. And then crash came. Oswald nodded quick. Yes. Then silence. Then a cry. Marple's gaze sharp. She asked, soft, why hide it? Oswald bit lip. I feared blame. I feared suspicion. Slack snapped fast. Suspicion grows with lies. Remember that. Marple's eyes narrowed. She glanced at ground. One more mark there. Half a print. Near the base. Larger shoe. Deeper cut. Size 10, at least. Slack frowned hard. That wasn't in rain. That mark older. Pressed before storm. Hidden until mud spread. A second visitor. Not small. Not Oswald. Another man present. Twist revealed. 2 sets of feet. One small. One large. 2 secrets mixed. Oswald whispered again. But the voice I knew best. It was Trent. Ink tells truth. Inspector Slack opened the ledger. Marple sat nearby. Lady Bantry leaned close. Oswald stood silent. Slack pointed to a page. Lot 27, he said. Tennyson first edition. Marple read slow. Reserve written bold. £300. She touched the page. The ink stood bright. Not the same color. Not the same hand. Violet ink, she said. Slack nodded sharp. Others in black. This altered later. Bantry frowned. Clarissa wrote 30. I heard her. Not 300. Slack grunted. So, 30 changed. Someone added a 0. Someone greedy. Marple asked calm. Who here uses violet? Slack turned a folder. Letters inside. Each signed the same. Basil Trent, Slack said. Every note from him. All violet ink. Bantry gasped, her eyes wide. Basil. Impossible. Slack kept firm. Facts don't lie. Ink doesn't change. This was him. Marple tapped finger. Proof matters. More than ink. Slack smirked. I have more. He pulled another slip. A check stub. Marple read. £300. Payment to Drake. The day before. Slack slammed the desk. Money trail clear. Trent paid Drake. Purpose hidden. Marple's voice soft. Payment for what? Forgery or silence? Slack shook head. I'll question him. Now he looks cornered. The door opened. Trent entered slow. His face stern. His hands steady. Slack pushed papers. Ink violet. Check stub. £300. Explain yourself. Trent looked down. He read once. He raised eyes. He spoke calm. Not fraud, he said. History research, nothing more. Trent insisted it was for history research, not fraud. Greed wears a scholar's cloak. Inspector Slack faced Trent. Marple sat silent. Bantry listened close. Oswald shifted uneasy. Slack began sharp. You paid Drake. £300. For what? Trent's jaw tightened. His eyes narrow. His voice calm. For research material, rare pamphlets, 17th century, local uprisings. Slack leaned forward. You expect us to believe? 300 for scraps? Worthless to most? Trent bristled. Worthless to you, priceless to history, pamphlets long lost. Drake could find them. He promised delivery. Marple's eyes lifted. Drake promised originals? Or copies? Trent flinched, his forehead damp. He wiped once. He avoided her gaze. Originals, he muttered, his voice thin. They were hidden. Private estates. Collectors kept them. Drake had means. Marple watched close, her mind alert, sweat on his brow, hands restless. He feared something. She asked again. And the Tennyson? What of that? Trent shifted fast. Not my concern. I cared for pamphlets. Poetry was nothing. But his tone faltered. His collar damp. His eyes darted. He looked away. Bantry spoke firm. You looked at it. You lingered. You touched the binding. Trent snapped. Curiosity only. No more. Don't twist this. Slack slammed table. Too many lies. Pamphlets, payments, forgery. You're buried deep. Trent shouted back. I sought truth. History must be preserved. If copies helped, so be it. Marple caught the slip, her voice calm. Copies? You admit forgery, then? Trent froze. He swallowed hard. He tried to speak. Words stuck. Marple pressed soft. Drake made forgeries. You accepted. You funded. You wanted results. You closed your eyes. Trent's face sagged. His hands shook. I wanted knowledge. That's all. Slack sneered. Knowledge dressed in greed. Greed dressed as history. Bantry leaned closer. Where are these pamphlets now? Trent hesitated. Then he spoke. My desk. At the inn. They're safe. Slack stood fast. We'll see. Come with us. Minutes later, they arrived. Trent unlocked the drawer. His hands trembled. He pulled papers out. Slack grabbed them. He flipped pages. Pamphlets indeed, but too new. Marple leaned near, edges too sharp, ink too bright, paper too smooth. She whispered. Forgery again. Drake's hand clear. Slack pulled another sheet. A folded page, tucked deeper inside. He flattened it out. Not a pamphlet, not history. Auction notes instead. Marked. Lot 27. Marple's eyes sharpened. So did Slack's. Bantry gasped low. Oswald covered her mouth. A hidden pamphlet lay inside proof from Trent's desk. A lady clutches too tight. Inspector Slack entered the reading room. Miss Pettigrew sat stiff. Her hands closed over a folder. She looked startled. Good evening, madam, Slack said, his tone firm. May I see what you hide? Pettigrew hesitated, her lips thin, her eyes darted. She shook her head. Private papers, she muttered. Nothing of interest. Slack leaned closer. Private matters don't belong here, especially during an inquiry. She clutched tighter, her knuckles white, her shoulders tense. She would not release. Marple stepped forward, her voice soft. Miss Pettigrew, better to share. Secrets breed suspicion. The collector sighed. Her grip weakened. She pushed the folder across, her eyes downcast. Slack opened it quick. Catalogue notes, margin scribbles, ink fresh. He scanned a page. Lot 27, he read. Notes in your hand. What did you see? Pettigrew spoke low. I noticed faults. The lettering wrong. The glue too clear. A forgery, I thought. Slack barked. And you said nothing? You let the auction proceed? She nodded, slow, her chin low. Yes, I stayed silent. I hoped to benefit. Bantry gasped. You knew? You allowed danger? Pettigrew raised hands. No danger intended. I wanted only chance. If others doubted, the price would fall. I could buy cheap. Slack's fist hit the table. Selfish motive. Deception by silence. Pettigrew's voice trembled. I feared exposure. If I told, others would withdraw. The book would vanish. I would lose it. Marple asked calm. So you kept quiet? But did Drake know? Pettigrew blinked. Her lips quivered. He may have guessed. He watched me close. He saw my notes. He smiled once. A cruel smile. Slack leaned forward. Then he knew, he and you, both. The forgery secret shared. Pettigrew shook her head. Not shared, not agreed. I only observed. He acted alone. Marple tilted her head. You wrote margins. But one note here. True copy gone. Explain this. Pettigrew gasped. Her hand rose. She whispered fast. The night before. I checked shelves. 2 copies then. 1 missing later. I wrote it down. Slack slammed the folder. Enough. You admit forgery scene. You admit silence. You admit greed. Pettigrew's eyes filled. I wanted beauty. I wanted possession. That was all. Marple's tone sharp. But silence aided crime. A life lost. Your choice mattered. Pettigrew bowed her head. I regret now, but I cannot undo. Slack stood tall. 2 people knew. Not one. Drake knew. You knew, and one of you lied. The room fell still. Eyes on Pettigrew, fear heavy in her glance. She whispered once more. I never killed. I only coveted. Slack declared 2 people knew about the fake, Drake and 1 accomplice. Silence is guilt. Inspector Slack faced Oswald. She sat stiff. Her hands clutched her skirt. Her eyes darted. Slack held up a torch. Recognize this? He asked. Her lips trembled. She nodded once. My torch, she whispered. I keep it at home. But it went missing. Slack pressed harder. When did you notice? After the murder, she said. Her voice cracked. I searched everywhere. It was gone. Slack pointed again. This torch was found, not in your house, in the shop, by the poetry shelves. Oswald gasped. Her shoulders shook. That cannot be. I never left it there. Slack's tone sharp. It was wiped clean. No prints left. Someone handled it after you. Her head dropped, her breath short, her words faint. I never cleaned it. Lady Bantry leaned forward. You must explain. Why would it be there? Oswald stammered. I don't know. I swear truth. I don't know. Slack circled the table. You hide something. You lied about stairs. You lied about voices. You hide again. Her eyes widened. I feared blame. I feared suspicion. That is all. Slack slammed the torch. Fear breeds guilt. This proves handling. After Drake died. Marple spoke calm. Perhaps not her hand. Perhaps another borrowed. Slack glared at her. Excuses, nothing more. Marple's gaze stayed steady. Her fear is real. But fear alone is not guilt. Oswald twisted her fingers. Her nails bit skin. She looked cornered. Her lips pressed tight. Slack leaned close. Did you see Drake fall? She shook her head. Number. Did you strike him? Her voice caught. Number. Then who did? Tears welled. Her breath uneven. She spoke low. I heard voices. I told you. Drake and another. Slack snapped. Another who? Name him now. She trembled more. Her face red. Her eyes down. Her silence heavy. Slack roared. Silence is guilt. Speak, or I charge. She cried out. I can't. I mustn't. I'm afraid. Marple's voice cut soft. Afraid of whom, Clarissa? Oswald clutched her chest. Her voice cracked. I cannot say. He warned me. He said silence only. Slack slammed desk again. Enough lies. You were there. Torch proves it. You cleaned it. You watched him die. Oswald shook her head. Number. I never cleaned it. I never struck him. Slack sneered. Then why there? Why missing? Why returned spotless? Her body jolted. Her mouth opened wide. She cried out. It wasn't me who struck him. Her scream filled the room, leaving the name unsaid. Shelves fall only by force. The bookshop reopened under watch. Inspector Slack waited inside. Miss Marple stood near the toppled case. Lady Bantry looked pale. Slack crossed his arms. You claim this was staged. Prove it now. Marple nodded. Her eyes, steady, her tone mild. I will. She placed her hand on the case. She pushed lightly. It did not move. The wood stayed firm. See, she said, a shelf this heavy cannot fall alone. Weight holds it steady. Slack frowned. Then how? Marple gestured. Bring the ladder. A constable fetched it. He placed it near. Wooden rungs worn. Glue marks faint. Marple tapped the side. Lift the case slightly. Angle the ladder. Now push down. The constable obeyed. The shelf tipped fast. It fell hard. Books scattered again. Bantry gasped. Slack leaned closer, his eyes sharp. So it needed leverage. Marple nodded, calm. Without outside force, the case could not topple. Someone used this ladder. She bent low. Her fingers brushed a rung. A sticky smear clung there. She rubbed and sniffed. Adhesive, she murmured. Not dried. Still recent. The same paste I saw before. The same paste on Drake's hands. Slack bent too. He touched the rung. His face hardened. You're right. This was no accident. Marple spoke steady. The killer struck first, then arranged this fall. The shelf hid the wound. It masked the crime. Bantry whispered, deliberate staging. Her eyes wide, her voice faint. Slack stood straight, his voice sharp. This changes everything. Someone planted this scene. Someone clever. Someone practiced. Marple raised a finger. Not clever enough. Glue betrays him. Dust betrays him. Books speak truth. Oswald trembled. She held her arms tight, her eyes lowered. She said nothing. Pettigrew whispered, A trick. All forgeries. All tricks. Slack barked. Enough muttering. He turned back to Marple. Are you certain? Marple gave a slow nod. Certain. The accident was false. It was murder, staged with craft. The adhesive on the ladder proved someone staged the accident. Truth, bound in paste. Miss Marple sat at the long table. Inspector, Slack stood beside her. The suspects gathered, Bantry and Colonel nearby. Trent folded his arms. Oswald fidgeted with her sleeve. Pettigrew clutched her handbag. All eyes watched Marple. She began slow. Let us untangle this. One forgery, one death, and one hand guiding both. Silence grew. She continued calm. The forgery was a Tennyson. Drake arranged it. He used fresh binding. He used modern gilt. He paid a binder. He made a perfect fake. Oswald gasped faint. Pettigrew pressed her lips. Trent looked away. Marple's voice sharpened. 2 copies existed, one genuine, one forged. The forged one vanished the night of the murder. Slack nodded hard. We know this. But who gained? Marple answered steady. Money was the aim. The fake could fetch high. Profit shared. But greed split them. She turned to Trent. You altered the ledger. 30 became 300. In violet ink, your hand. Trent flushed. He muttered, for research. Marple ignored him. Drake grew afraid. He feared exposure. He wanted to stop. But once in, he could not step out. Pettigrew leaned forward. He smiled at me. He knew I noticed. Marple nodded. Yes, you saw the trick. But you stayed silent. Your silence made you accomplice by knowledge. Pettigrew shook her head. I never helped. Marple went on. Drake argued that night. He shouted about the original. He shouted about 300. Oswald heard it. And she named you, Trent. Slack's eyes narrowed. Everything points to you. Trent's fists clenched, his forehead damp. But he forced a smile. Suspicion, not proof. Marple's voice dropped. Proof exists. Paste on the ladder. Adhesive used. The same paste from Drake's hands. The same paste used by you, Trent. You handled it. You staged the fall. Trent slammed the table. You twist facts. I sought pamphlets. Nothing more. Marple looked at him, long. Then how explain this? She placed a folded sheet. Slack opened it. Auction notes, marked with Trent's initials, hidden in his desk. Bantry gasped again. Oswald covered her mouth. Pettigrew stared. Marple pressed on. You struck Drake. Then you staged his death. You planned to sell the forgery alone. You thought no one would see. Trent rose half from his chair. His face red, his voice loud. He betrayed me first. The room tensed. Slack's hand moved to cuffs. Marple raised her hand. "Not yet, Inspector. There is more." Everyone froze. She turned slow, her eyes on Oswald, her voice sharp. One more voice was heard. Oswald claimed only Trent, but the steps told different. 2 sets of prints, one small, one large, so 2 men inside. Oswald trembled. Her lips moved. She whispered faint, "I never said all. He made me promise silence." Slack barked. "Who?" She sobbed. "Drake had another partner, not just Trent." The room shook with tension. 2 culprits? 2 plots? Marple raised her finger. She pointed hard. Her words cut like steel. And the killer silenced him. A second accomplice still remained unnamed. One hand pushed, one hand profited. Inspector Slack stood firm. Miss Marple remained seated. The room silent, all eyes fixed. Marple spoke clear. "The killer is here. Not outside, not unknown. It is Basil Trent." Trent's head snapped, his face stiff, his fists clenched, his jaw set. Slack barked loud. "Confess it now. You struck Drake. You staged the fall." Trent laughed once, a bitter sound. "You have no proof." Marple answered calm. "Your ink in the ledger, your check to Drake, your sweat at questions, your hand with paste, your ladder smeared, your desk hiding notes." Bantry gasped. Oswald shuddered. Pettigrew muttered, "I knew." Slack pressed harder. "Drake resisted you. He wanted out. You argued. You struck. He fell first. You toppled the case. You staged the scene." Trent's face reddened. He slammed the table. "He tricked me. He promised originals. He gave forgeries. He laughed at me." Marple leaned forward. "You needed him gone. With him dead, you held both. The genuine and the fake. Profit alone. Control alone." Trent shook his head. "Number. Not alone. Someone else knew," Oswald cried out. "He forced me silent. He threatened me. But I never struck. I never touched Drake." Slack roared. "Enough excuses. This rests on you." Trent's voice cracked. "He mocked me. He called me fool. He waved the fake. He said I'd pay." Marple's tone cut. "So you paid. With money first. With his life after." Bantry whispered, cold-blooded. Pettigrew clutched her bag, her knuckles white. Slack pulled his cuffs. "You're finished, Trent. No more lies. No more history games." Trent shook hard, his breath ragged. He stared at Marple. His lips trembled. "He betrayed me first," he shouted. The words echoed. The room froze. Trent broke down, screaming, "He betrayed me first. Books keep secrets." The case closed, the shop quiet, the suspects gone. Only truth remained. Lady Bantry sighed. Her hands trembled. Her face pale. Her voice low. "All this for a roof," she whispered. "A book killed. A friend died. The cause tainted." Colonel Bantry placed a hand. "Funds are safe," he said. "The auction stands. The church roof repaired." Lady Bantry shook her head. "Not the same. Never the same." Miss Pettigrew lingered nearby. Her face flushed, her eyes down. Shame clear. "I kept silent," she admitted. "I wanted gain. Now I feel ruin. I cannot forget." No one answered. Her words fell heavy. She turned away, clutching her handbag. Clarissa Oswald stood near. Relief washed her. Her shoulders lighter, her voice soft. "I feared too long. I hid truth. Now it's finished. I can breathe." Slack scowled, but he nodded once. "You feared, but you spoke. That saved us." Oswald bowed her head. She whispered thanks, then stepped back. Quiet at last. Slack turned to Marple, his tone grudging. "You saw what we missed. You linked paste. You linked ink. You showed the lie." Marple smiled faint. Her knitting rested, her voice calm. "Forgery can fool eyes, but never conscience." Slack grunted. "You win, madam. This time." Colonel Bantry chuckled once. She always does. Silence held again. The shop felt still, shelves upright, cases locked. Then a sound, a soft slip, paper under door. Bantry noticed first. She bent quick. She picked it up. Her eyes widened, her lips pressed. "A card," she whispered. Her hands shook. She showed the note. Words written plain. Lot 27 was never yours. Another unsigned card slid under Bantry's door.